Danny Flexen for Seconds Out. Delighted to be joined by my old friend, I hope, Adam Booth, trainer, manager. You're in isolation at the moment, I believe. Took your COVID
Back
test
in
this
the
morning.
1970s. I'm back in the 1970s.
It's obviously an effect of the COVID test. It sends you back in time. You had your test this morning, so presumably, all being well, you'll be out of isolation tomorrow morning.
All being well.
Yeah, all being well. And you're there to be the head trainer in the corner, of course, for the debuting Ellie Scotney. Just tell us, first of all, how you and Ellie formed a relationship initially and how you got together.
That's right. I can't remember. I think she asked Adam Martin. She wanted to turn pro, and she wanted to know about a little bit more about professional boxing. And she asked Adam Martin, who's a mutual friend, if he would introduce her to me, and that was the start of it.
Okay. And obviously you took her on, so what impressed you about her? What made you interested in the proposition?
She, as a fighter, you'll see when you watch her fight, she's well put together. She's got great hands, very strong, very tenacious, has all the ingredients you need to be a successful pro fighter, and the style and the mindset and everything else. And when you look at her amateur record and you just spend time talking to her, I don't think you don't have to know that much to realize that she's a serious prospect and potential, but also a really sound young woman as well. She's got a very, very good sense of humor. Very, 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 very quippy, always ready for the next joke. So she's fun to have around as well.
Oh, she'll be blushing watching this. Although she won't watch it till post-fight, because I believe she's now switched her phone off until after the fight, which is impressive.
Is that right?
Yeah, well, according to her, I haven't tested that theory out. But she said
she just
earlier,
blocked it.
Yeah, she said now switching my phone off till after the fight, so we shall see. Let's see what you try to call her.
I'm saying that the last time we did an interview, I had a lot of people call me afterwards and say how good your questions were and how refreshing it was for somebody to ask sort of such questions that opened up good answers. Is the feedback I got. But you haven't started this one off on the same vein, have you?
I was just waiting for the punchline. The whole preamble I was taking with a pinch of salt. I was just waiting for that kicker at the end. I'll try and improve as we go on. I'll get stronger as the fight goes on.
Okay, how many rounds are we doing then?
I don't know. Let's see if I can manage 4 to start with, and we'll take it from there.
All right.
Initially, you were Ellie's manager. She was being trained, or she was going to be trained by her former amateur coach. You're now trainer as well. What prompted that change?
Well, Ellie was coming over once or twice a week anyway. And she asked me if she could come over more regularly. And so she has. I mean, I said all along that Sam Mullins is a hell of a coach, and that I hope that, at some point Sam will work with Ellie again for this fight, for her pro debut. For the last couple of months, she's been training in our gym.
You've got Shannon Casey in the gym, of course. She's been there since turning pro. How are they getting on? How's that relationship? Because she's used to being the only female fighter in the gym. I don't know if that matters.
I mean, you wouldn't being a bit sexist there with you. You wouldn't ask that about two dudes. Well, there's two fellas in the same boxing gym. How are they getting on?
Well,
like a couple of stags.
If it was 2 heavyweights, I probably would. Like, if someone gets used to being the only heavyweight in the gym and then another heavyweight comes in, that can sometimes cause tension.
I don't know. You probably have to ask them, because as far as I'm concerned, as long as they do the work they've got to do and they're performing, that's all I care about. Doesn't seem to be a problem. I can't hear any cat fights going on in the change rooms after training sessions. So for now, it seems to be all right.
That is a relief. When you first came back into,
We'll
not
sleep
back
well
into
tonight.
boxing, but when you started putting your stable together, you were only going to work initially with a couple of fighters. You kind of, it was just Mick Conlon, Josh Kelly, and then a couple more have been added kind of, periodically. Are you being kind of slowly dragged back into boxing in a real strong way? You've got the gym now, of course, as well.
You say when I put my stable together, like it was like a contrived moment in time where I got one bit, got another bit, and that was it. It's never been like for me. Everything has just been sort of like an organic evolution. You go one fight, you say, right, after this fight, that's enough. But then another one comes along, and you get invested in them as young people and fighters, and it's just part of the journey. There has got to be an expiry date on me at some point as a coach. I don't know when it is, but in terms of having more fighters in the gym, yes, I have my own facility now, which I wanted for a time. And secondly, with H and with Charlie, I've got two incredible assistant and coaches that work with me. And by having the support of them has enabled me to sort of accept more fighters come in and work with us as a team. And for now, touch wood, and I hope this cheap hotel furniture is actually wood. It works. Don't hear that word often, do you? Formica.
Yeah, it sounded strange coming out of my mouth, but I committed to it. So.
It works. It works. It works really well in the gym. I'm as happy as I've been as a coach.
Well, that's good to hear. How often, roughly, do you get fighters or people around fighters approach you to take an interest in a fighter or to train them?
I don't know. Every now and again it happens, but I don't know how often it happens, but I think that happens everywhere.
Yeah, I think previously, though, when you were working with like David and George, you were known for only concentrating on a select number of fighters, and maybe you get approached more now, I don't know, because people see you with a bustling gym of your own and with a lot of fighters in there.
It's different times. I think I'm more experienced. I have two incredible dudes in Charlie and H that I work with, and where I trust them and I can rely on them to work to the level that I act or in a manner that I work, and they do. And it's like a threesome of coaches and we've been working together for a few years, and it's that more than anything else. It's not the fact that I necessarily want to train more. It's just that I have the capability now to accept more because of those two.
I'm going to give myself a brief pat on the back for not laughing out loud at threesome of coaches. I think that's a mark of my growing maturity.
I did actually check that word before it came out, but I thought it sounded all right.
Well, Only same with Formica. You can empathise now.
No, solid. Full bars. Full bars.
Sound like me on the mobile phone. It's 4 bars, not my signal.
I shouldn't have agreed to do this interview, actually, because I've been stirring around this hotel room for too many hours with not enough oxygen.
Well, I thought I was doing you a favour, brightening up your fallow isolation period. Thought you'd be bored.
I don't know. I was actually half asleep when you messaged me at 3 minutes past 8 to remind me.
Well, if you weren't half asleep when it started, you will be by the end.
I am. Yeah.
Getting there. How do you decide in the gym? You said you've got two great assistants, of course, in Charlie B and Huzaifa Iqbal, H-Man. How do you decide who does what or who works with which fighters more often, that kind of thing?
I wouldn't necessarily say it's a decision. Everyone works with everyone. And if I think that, we work sometimes with Michael Connor, for example, sometimes we work on Southpaw, sometimes we work on Orthodox. And if I think that H or Charlie are better at this one, then that's how I'll flip it. But other than that, no, I go in, I know what I want to work on, and I'll say to them, right, you do this, and or sometimes I'll just say, crack on and do whatever you want to do. It feels like it. It really feels like it works really well, and the proof is in the pudding.
And as much as you work with the fighters as a trio, I'm not going to say threesome, do you nurture the assistant coaches as well in the belief that one day they'll want to graduate and become head trainers in their own right?
Yeah. There is that as well. That I work with them, and we have lots of conversations where I'm telling them whatever I think I know. So if I'm taking a sparring session, I'll try and always make sure that they're with me, so they hear the things I say, so they understand the things I see, whether they agree with it or not, whether they think, no, he's talking out of his arse, or whether they understand it. I just think that's my way of whatever knowledge I've got of sharing it with them, so that and I'll listen to them as well, so that as a team we just get better.
And have you always done that earlier in your career when you didn't have as many fighters working with you? Did you still have assistant trainers then that you were kind of bringing along?
No, certainly not that I was bringing along, and not assistant coaches like Charlie and H, who have been with me for years. I've had over the years, I've had lots of different assistants. Some have already been coaches. Some are good friends of mine, but it definitely feels more structured in the way that I'm working with H and Charlie in them evolving to be coaches in their own right as well.
And Adam Martin, who you mentioned earlier, is he a bit of an unsung hero of the gym? Obviously, he's got his own stable of fighters working out of there, but he also helps manage the gym, I believe. And he doesn't get a lot of coverage. I don't imagine he solicits it, but is he a bit of an unsung hero?
Well, I mean, yes, he manages the gym. And in terms of being an unsung hero, as a coach, when you say unsung hero, you're talking about, how people talk about you or your reputation as a coach. And your reputation as a coach lives or dies with the fighters that you work with. And I think that yesterday or the day before yesterday, he had a signature win with Jermaine Brown, who went over to Minsk to fight Dimitri Chudinov, dropped Chudinov, and won a wide unanimous points decision. So that could be the start of Adam getting his just rewards as a coach in terms of recognition, because I do think that was a magnificent performance by Jermaine to win that. And like I say, Adam's a coach because he loves boxing, and he works with Mickey Guilfoyle as well. And we shouldn't overlook Mickey, because I know Mickey from the amateurs. He and I boxed together on amateur squads way back in the 80s, and it's Adam and Mickey that work together with the fighters, and they both deserve. I've watched them work, and they're passionate about what they do, and they're good at what they do, and I just hope that they get the opportunities as coaches to have the success that they deserve.
You said earlier this is the happiest you've been in your career as a coach. What is it about this current situation that's satisfying you?
Sorry, I interrupted you trying to take the piss out of you. You just ignored me.
I think you half froze while it happened, which took the sting out of it. Helped by the Wi-Fi. You said earlier that this is the happiest you've been in your career as a coach. What's contributed to that? Why are you happier than you've been in the past in your work?
Wow. That's the answer to that question is probably a lot deeper than we've got time to go into. But the environment, the gym, everybody that's around me on a daily basis, I think that really feeds into it, because I just think the dynamic and the intention of everyone, and the fact that we all do feel like we're part of something that we're building and part of together. I just think it makes it a special. It feels like a special moment in time, and that it's going to go on for quite some time as well. When you look at the dynamic of all the fighters, when you look at Josh and Mick and Harlem and Abbas who's come in, and everyone that's in the gym and how they get on, it just creates a fun environment to do some serious work.
You've never been known as kind of a stressed type of coach or someone who gets irate easily. But as you've grown and accrued more experience, do you find you're even calmer now?
I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. I wouldn't necessarily. That's a self-assessment. I do feel like a duck paddling frantically in water sometimes. Whether it shows or not, I don't know. But
No, I mean, that will surprise people, I think.
I guess a few years ago with David Hay, I wasn't just the coach and the manager. I was also the promoter. So on a daily basis, after doing a 3-hour session in the gym, I then have to answer hours worth of calls and questions to do with seating at the MEN or flights or hotels or all of the stuff that goes behind the promotional stuff, because it was me and John Hill that was doing it. And I think the workload itself probably caused a lot more stress than the actual coaching. And that's probably why now I've stripped it back to just managing and coaching and not doing the promoting, that it feels a lot easier. So I have time to enjoy it more.
Would you ever consider promoting again if the support network was there to make it a less stressful?
I'm not a promoter. I'm not a salesman. I'm a coach and a manager. And I don't see me going back into promoting anytime soon.
Wow, good to know. Let's
Oh, is it? Are you glad I'm not? Is that what you're saying?
I just mean it's good to have that insight. Not necessarily it's a good news.